Hey people, Demon Vizarek here to talk about Redo Healer and why it's missed potential. Hear me out. I just want to talk about the overall potential of the series and where I think it really didn't need to go. Although, for the most part, I was watching the series just for the laugh that it gave me and how angry it made other people. But I think what I've spotted in it was a potential to be better than just a shock and awe kind of series. First off, I want to talk about Kiyaru, the main character, and what he goes through. So, he's given the designation of healer, and he is a hero. But every time he heals, it loses energy and collapses, and the rest of the heroes think he's useless, so they treat him like shit. They drug him, they beat him, they sexually abuse him, over and over again until they get to the big bad guy in this timeline, and he has built up a drug tolerance and a technique to steal other people's techniques, and he beats them all and uses the demon who he defeats his power to rewind time to when he first became a hero but still had his knowledge left. So he has been mentally broken by this point, and he is focused on revenge. That's what I want to set a precedent on. It's like a psychotic break, and he just wants revenge. So his plan is to go through the same thing over again, be found as the hero, taken in by the princess who's beat him previously and got him hooked on drugs. But he knows this now, and he keeps himself trying to get resistant to drugs before he goes. So he can't be used as a dog or, made dependent again. And he wants to get revenge on Flare, Blade, and Bullet. And you can see from this point on, he gets back into being tortured again, and they are not nice people, which he wanted to see if it was different, if they would be changed, but they don't. So he wants to get revenge all the more, and this is where I think the first kind of misstep was in how they depicted his revenge. And this is where he gets back at Flare for torturing and beating him and drugging him and having him defiled, basically. He does all these, like, he tortures her and gives her, basically, does all the same things to her. And, I feel like it could have just been the torture and not the defiling. It kind of keep him as the good guy, but again, it's just like he's psychotic, so people could argue that that was sort of in character, but I feel like he could have just done the torture and then made her his basically servant with these powers that he has still the memory of and how to use them. That's the first two episodes, and then in the next two episodes, 3 and 4, he is in the way of getting money, and he sees this plague or this poison going around the world, and he tries to get money from it, making medicine, which he does, and he uses this money to get a slave, combat slave, which he sees himself in, but there's like no compassion in it, and I can see like that's another sort of form of this psychopathy. He wants people to join in his misery, and I think that's something that was interesting. But then again, to make this, this combat slave part of his group, he has to have sex with her again, and it's just, over, like, just a shock, like, oh, they're having sex again. Like, it just becomes repetitive, and you're just like, okay, they're having sex again, who cares? And it just makes me think that if they just focused on the mental struggle of Kiyaru rather than just his need for revenge and everything that happened to him he wants to do to others, or just his self gratification because he's just having a, like, it just seems like an overuse of it. And I feel like if they just focused more on the mental side, but they could have had these more gruesome elements without the sort of overemphasis on the sexuality, and I feel like it would have improved the series. But then again, would anybody have paid attention to it if it hadn't done this? And that's where I sort of fall on. Like, It's just a series for the shock and awe of it. It will be a blip and it will not be here anymore, and people will probably barely remember it. But it probably could have been so much more. Other interesting elements in the Read Over Healer, I kind of like feel that they did sort of enough to make you interested in seeing more of the world. It's just the distraction of what they did to get you interested in the series just ruins it a little bit. Or not just a little bit. I'm just sort of more thinking about the potential it had, but it's just sort of the difference between a series that's confident in its story and a series that just doesn't have it and needs something to drag you in. And I'll probably watch all of Read Over Healer, but I'll be always thinking about what it could have been. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I'm out.